Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, December 19th. Welcome to the Inside Edge. Every new governor gets to decide their own vision of an inauguration. They get to march to their own drummer. There's nothing wrong with that. When Dick Hughes took office in 1962, he was New Jersey's first Catholic governor, and he began the day with a mass at St. Mary's Roman Catholic Church in Trenton. When the next governor took office 8 years later, it was Bill Cahill, the state's second Catholic governor. And so Cahill also went back to St. Mary's the morning of his inauguration. And 4 years after that, when Brendan Byrne was set to become New Jersey's third consecutive Catholic governor, everybody just figured he'd be back at St. Mary's. But Byrne was a really good politician, and he understood that all politics was local. So he began his day at the Shiloh Baptist Church in Trenton. And that's because the pastor of Shiloh Baptist was the Reverend S. Howard Woodson, who 1 week earlier had taken office as the new Speaker of the New Jersey State Assembly. Byrne also began to introduce a flair to his inauguration. Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons entertained at his inaugural ball. There was a snowstorm for Byrne's second inauguration. There were about 400 empty seats at the War Memorial. And then the band literally, and I'm not making this up, when Byrne came up, they played Send in the Clowns. That was some bad staff work. In 1982, Tom Kean became governor, and the inauguration became a 4-day event. It started with a dinner at Drumthwacket on Saturday, and then on Sunday night, they did an event at the Resorts Casino in Atlantic City. It featured performances by Tony Bennett and Bill Cosby. And to be clear, Cosby, not Kane's fault. It was a different time. His inaugural morning service was at the Episcopal Trinity Cathedral in Trenton. Kane's inaugural committee messed up, and about 1,000 extra people showed up with invitations to the War Memorial. They weren't allowed in. Later that night, Kane's inaugural ball featured Count Basie and his orchestra. 8 years later, Jim Florio became governor. He had the first inaugural parade since the 1930s. He returned to Shiloh Baptist, but at his swearing in at the War Memorial, he had a rabbi from Lakewood do the invocation. 2 Superior Court judges were reprimanded that year for attending the inaugural ball because the proceeds went to the Democratic Party. But Count Basie returned for Florio. This time he was joined by Ben Breen, and an awful evening for Florio's staff. There was a computer glitch, and they lost the seating charts. That created a free-for-all. 4 years after that, Christy Whitman also had a parade scheduled, but it got canceled because of an ice storm. And for church, she picked the Mount Zion AME Church in Trenton. But her pre-inaugural gala became a big problem 4.5 hours before Barry Manilow canceled his appearance in Atlantic City, claiming, and probably improperly, that Whitman was exploiting him for political purposes. So Whitman called Donald Trump, and Trump agreed to loan her Paul Anka, who was already scheduled to appear at his casino. That's all I have for today, everybody. The Inside Edge is going to take all of next week off. Brian Stack said it was okay. I hope Mary Melfi thinks it's okay. Have a great holiday to everybody, and we'll